All right, welcome to another 902 gaming video, and today I'm going to do part one of my set review for Kamigawa Neon Dynasty. I decided to split it up into a couple of different videos, and this video is going to be going over my personal favorite cards for the set. I don't know if they're going to be any good. I don't know if they'll actually be good in standard or not. And again, I tend to review this set here in a standard context. I'm not really going to consider alchemy too much. I think alchemy will change anyway if there is going to be a Kamigawa alchemy set that comes out after. So that I'll save it for that. Again, I don't really play alchemy right now. So first up, we have the Wandering Emperor. Now, generally what I like is when they take a card type that's already kind of been established, like Planeswalkers, and they add, a neat ability on them like this one does. This one's 4 mana, has flash, which is the reason why I like it, and the fact that you can actually use its abilities when it comes into play. So in other words, on your opponent's turn. So you can flash this into play, you can create a token, you can exile a creature and gain 2 life. I think this is just one of the most useful cards in this set. That's why it's one of my favorites. The fact that you can flash it into during combat and then pump one of your creatures. This can be used on all kinds of different fronts and all kinds of different decks. I think mono white aggro can use this. I think like a blue white control deck can use this, or a black white control deck can use this. There's multiple uses for this card. I think it's the best card in the set personally. But we'll see how the format shakes out and stuff like that. It may not see as much play as I think it does, but it's going to be one of the first cards that I test. And I guess that's more of what this video is. It's more of the cards that I'm going to be playing first and foremost, the ones I'm excited about the most. Then up next, we have another card that I like a lot, is Explosive Singularity. So it's 10 mana sorcery, it deals 10 damage to any target. Now, something that I've said in any of the videos that I've done recently is there's hardly any direct damage to the opponent. So there's no really way to burn your opponent out. There's some spells, but they tend to be slow, and they're sorcery, and they're basically 1 mana for 1 damage is how they shake out. And generally in a burn deck, I don't think a burn deck has actually been viable for quite some time. You want it to cost less than the amount of damage it does. And this one here can cost up to 8 mana less for 8 creatures. Now, that's not a realistic possibility, but the fact that you can actually reduce the cost of this by tapping any number of creatures you control means that maybe the best case scenario is it's 6 mana, but 6 mana for 10 damage is still pretty good. I think in any format, 6 mana for 10 damage will be good, and then it can probably just get better from there. I also like it because it plays well with one of my favorite decks currently right now in the standard format. It's Wedding Announcement and the Stensia Burning deck. Sorry, Stensia. I keep calling it Stensia Burning. Stensia Uprising. So you can make a bunch of tokens with them. Also deal 7 damage as well. So I think there's a deck there somewhere, and it's one of the decks I'm going to try this card out in. It might be, the last thing you want to do is have a bunch of these in your hand. You draw your opening 7, and there's 3 of these sitting there. So I don't think it'll be a 4 of for sure. It'll probably be a 1 or a 2 of maybe in the deck, maybe even just a 1 of, just a way to finish off your opponent. The deck doesn't have a problem finishing off the opponent, but this just gives it another out, I think. So there's a possibility for this one as well. Plus, I think it's sweet, and it fits very well in that deck, I think. Next up, we have Kyrie the Swirling Sky. So this is the 6 mana blue dragon. It's flying in Ward 3. That's something I said in all of my review videos for the set. All these blue creatures getting ward is going to be, I think, kind of annoying in the upcoming format, which is kind of why I'm glad they banned 2 of the most powerful blue cards prior to the set coming out. I think blue would have just been totally obnoxious to play against. But that being said, I like this card, not for a blue control deck. I like it because it is a 6 mana reanimation target for my reanimator decks that I enjoy playing, because it's having ward on a large creature that has evasion is very, very good. And the fact that this one, if it ever dies, it'll mill 6 cards, so it'll fill up my graveyard some more, and then it will allow me to get my reanimation spells back. So if they manage to kill it, they're basically just giving me more reanimation spells to either bring it back out or to reanimate something else. So that's one of the reasons why I like it. You can also bounce a bunch of permanents as well, which is also fine. I see it being, myself personally, being used for the last part, but I can definitely see it being played for the first part as well. But that's one of the reasons why I like this card. And currently my Reanimator deck does not have a 6 mana spell, and that's 6 mana creature to reanimate. So there's nothing to fill in that spot on the curve. I don't know if it'll be multiple copies. I don't know if it'll be maybe just 1 or 2 copies of it, but I do like it for the fact that it can just protect itself as well. And then next up, we have a similar card. Probably not as strong, obviously. But one card that I'm very excited about too, and I didn't really realize how much until I actually got the chance to think about it. After I saw the spoiler, I think it was yesterday. That's a Mirror Shell Crab. Now, it's essentially, you can look at this. I said this before already with some of my review. These channel cards are essentially just split cards. So one side would have, this is, 3 mana, counter a spell or ability. So basically a mana leak. So counter a spell or ability unless its controller pays 3. So one of the good things about this is the fact that it can counter an ability. If it was just counter spell, it'd still be playable. But the fact that it can counter a triggered ability as well is also good. And then it's just a 5/7 with ward 3. So it's another creature that can protect itself. It's fairly large. It doesn't have any evasion or anything like that, I think, but it makes up with its versatility and the fact that you can also discard itself to counter a spell. So this one will likely see some play in a Reanimator deck that I decide to build. I'll probably be one of the first creatures that I try out in it because it's common. It's not going to really cost me any wild cards. And I just like it. It's crab. I think it's pretty cool. Yeah, and it was a card that I was not expecting to see or to really make me think a lot more about it after I saw it spoiled. Yeah, so finally we have Jin-Gitaxias Progress Tyrant. So it's 7 mana, 5/5, and I like this one for kind of the same reasons as the last couple of cards. It's a good reanimation target. Whenever you cast an artifact, instant, or sorcery, you can copy it. You can choose new targets for that copy. So in other words, you can cast a Reanimator spell or you can cast just about anything, and you get to copy it. So you get to reanimate this and put it into play, and you can copy anything that you cast after that, whether it's Thirst for Knowledge, Thirst for Discovery, Mulch, any of those things. So it just kind of copies it and can turbo feed your graveyard and also draw you to some other stuff. But it's not the main reason why I want to play this card. First ability is pretty sweet. Second ability is if you reanimate this as early potentially as turn 4, whenever the opponent casts an artifact, instant, or sorcery, you counter that spell. That would be the reason why I play it, because it's basically, it kind of locks your opponent out of being able to play instants and sorceries and artifacts. Now, the one caveat to this, if you look at this in the standard format context, is that there's not a lot of instants and sorceries going around. Maybe in other control decks, so this would likely just be a sideboard card. But we'll see how the artifacts and stuff play out from this. There's actually a lot of artifacts in this deck, or in this set, and it wouldn't surprise me if a bunch of them see play. So I like it for that. It's a great Reanimator target. It kind of puts the kibosh on some of the, like the black-white control deck, or maybe a blue-white control deck that might emerge after the set's released. So I like that. May only end up being a sideboard card, but I like it just for both abilities. I think it's a very good card for that, just for Reanimator target basically. I don't think you would just play this for 7 mana in a control deck. But I like it for, like I said, for Reanimator target. But yeah, that'll do it for this video. These are just my favorite cards. I don't know if I think the Wanderer Emperor I still think is probably going to be the best card in the set. I'm probably wrong because it's just so versatile. People will just it'll be an auto include and be like, oh, this card's actually sweeter than this one. But I think the Wanderer Emperor is going to do a lot of the heavy lifting in this format coming up. Especially, like I've said, and if you've watched any of my other videos talking about the spoilers in the set, that white basically got the goods in this one. So anyways, hopefully you enjoyed this video, and I'll see you in the next one.